Data released today by the National Bureau of Statistics shows that Nigeria's gross domestic product grew by 2.38% in the fourth quarter of 2018, representing an increase of 0.27% when compared to the fourth quarter of 2017, which recorded a growth rate of 2.11%. On an annualized basis, the real GDP grew at a rate of 1.93% in 2018 compared to 0.82% recorded in 2017, an increase of 1.09%. Now let's look at some of the components that drove this growth. I'm being joined by a senior economist at SPA Professionals, Paul Alaji. Good afternoon, Paul. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Hello, Paul. Well, if you can hear me, looking at those real GDP numbers released by the NBS, 2.38% in fourth quarter of 2018 and 1.09% annually. Did it meet your expectations, and is this in line with the projections by the IMF and World Bank?
Yeah, thank you so very much once again. It's a bit lower than what IMF and World Bank had projected for Nigeria. In fact, it's a bit lower than what Nigeria Bureau of Statistics had projected that Nigeria would have. But is this surprising? I would say no. If you look at what Nigeria economy has been doing and what has been our focus as economy is to see how we could boost agriculture and hope that agriculture will have impact on service, and service eventually will have impact on the entire GDP. And if you look at the component released by Nigeria Bureau of Statistics today, approximately 7% of the GDP component is what oil sector has contributed, and approximately 93% is what non-oil sector has contributed. Of this component, about 53% of the non-oil sector, what is responsible for that is the service industry, and about 20% is what industry and manufacturing perhaps is responsible for, while 26% is what agriculture is responsible for. So if you break the GDP figures down, according to the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, you see that so many sectors did well, while some other sector might not do really well. So you see agriculture contribution it made recently is a bit lower than what it did before. Meanwhile, construction did a lot better than what it did before. Service industry, that this is pre-election, this is election year, but the year in consideration was pre-election year. We would have thought that more would have been added in terms of contribution to GDP. So bottom line, it is good enough that we are better than what we were compared to 2017 in terms of real GDP. But when you look at GDP figures itself, you see that instead of what we had in that quarter, in third quarter, 9.2%, what we have in terms of quarter growth for GDP is actually down. It is lower growth by, it is now 5.3% compared to 9.2% that we had in the third quarter of 2018. And this, what I think analysts and policymakers should look at carefully. From 2016 January, the first quarter, something has been happening, and it has been perhaps very consistent. The first quarter of 2016, Nigerian GDP growth rate dipped. I'm talking about quarter growth rate now, by minus 13.98. In the first quarter, it went up to about 1.72. Then it grew in the third quarter to about 8.24 and fell to 3.75 and went negative to 13. This is almost the same for 2017, and I'm afraid this is almost the same for 2018. So perhaps we have been making policy and we've been having the same pattern of growth. Now, what many people look at is what is happening to GDP compared to previous years. But the real pain is not what happens to previous years, it's the policy we are making now and the impact on jobs, the impact on inflation, the impact on investment, the impact on so many other economic indicators. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we know that, of course, no economy will develop without manufacturing or even agriculture. And when we talk about job creation, these sectors, of course, are key. Now, what do you think can be done more, either from the side of the Monetary Policy Authority or the Fiscal Authority to shore up, this sector?
Yeah, this is a very important question. What, again, should we do, or what should we do more of by monetary authority? I think monetary authority is doing the best to keep interest rate at 14%, talking about monetary policy rate, so that we will not lose investment, because if we reduce interest rate by 1%, and the American economy or the stronger economy increases their interest rate, most of the investment you have in Nigeria today might just disappear. So where should be the focus? Perhaps for me, of our organization, the focus should be with the fiscal policy maker and trade policy maker. What do we think fiscal policy makers should do? Concentrate on infrastructure that will drive jobs. China concentrated on infrastructure, or concentrate on power and so many other things that we hate investment to the economy. Spend the budget on time. National Assembly and the executive should resolve the dispute on time, so that you solve most of the challenges and enhance investment, particularly real investment into the economy. So for me, fiscal authorities need to do more in order to encourage the fight, or if you like, the policies that is coming from monetary authority, which we have seen in recent times. So clearly, what do we do? Improve power supply more than what we have. The truth is that there has been significant increase in the power generated in the recent times, but we need more than that. Most of the power we measure is what comes to homes, but where we need power the more, I'm not saying we don't need power at home, is industry. How do we provide power for those who are manufacturing or who are processing? How do we manufacture power for them? When we do this, most of the marginal propensity to import that we have, which is larger component, over 80% of economic life, will reduce. Then we can now start local consumption. That is what will drive jobs. Because how do we explain it? That in the first quarter, we have about 1.9 GDP growth rate. It dipped to about 1.5, and right now it's about 2.4. But what has been happening to jobs is 1% reduction every quarter.
Well, Paul, Paul, I guess we would have enough time, some other time, to look at some of these variables. Thank you very much for your time.